Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today I'm excited to share with you a card project that I designed for the summer 2015 issue of Bella Crafts Quarterly. So today we're going to be exploring how to create a simple background using the Spectrum Noir AquaTints liquid watercolors from Crafter's Companion to create a really quick and easy background for your cards. When you get done watching today's segment, I invite you to pop on over to the Bella Crafts Quarterly website. They're at bellacraftsquarterly.com, and you can download their free quarterly online magazine. In the meantime, enjoy the show. Today's card features an easy watercolor effect with 3 techniques. First, brayering watercolor inks, which I think you can see here on this yellow, and then spattering them, and then finally painting over an embossed image, which will act as a resist. So let's first take a look at the supplies I'm using, and then we can go into the various processes. So I'm going to bring in my Spectrum Noir AquaTint inks. Now these are concentrated liquid watercolor that can be diluted, that can be mixed together, or used straight from the bottle. And these are from Spectrum Noir. They're from Crafter's Companion, and they are absolutely fantastic. Now, a couple of things about the AquaTints before we get started. I'm going to share a couple of tips that I learned from the fabulous Sheena Douglas. And if you need more resources on Spectrum Noir, do go check out some of Sheena Douglas's videos and blog posts. She has a ton to share. And she taught me a lot of techniques or a lot of tips to do with the Spectrum Noir AquaTints. First of all, it comes with this lovely plastic palette, and it's a nice sturdy plastic palette, which you would normally use. You'd put your color in here and then paint with this. But instead, she suggests using this as a holder for your AquaTints, and I agree, this is the best way to keep them all organized and upright, because it's really easy, we know, just to accidentally knock something over, and this is such intense color, you don't want it spilling all over your work or all over yourself. Now her second tip is to label the top of each one of the jars with the number and the color. And this is brilliant because although they have the color, you can see on here on the label, and then also the number, it's a little bit tricky sometimes when you're looking for the right color to work with. Her final tip that I took her up on is to create a swatch. And this is just a quick swipe of undiluted colors from each one of the sets. So the one that I'm working with is the Bright and Beautiful, so I just did quick little swatches, and I've got this taped up on my wall so I can see at a glance exactly which color I want. So lots of great tips from the fantastic Sheena Douglas. Thank you, Sheena. So let's get started with our background, and I'm going to bring in a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to be working with the yellow, and I'm just going to brayer this. So inside each of your kits, you also get some plastic pipettes. You also get paintbrushes. So we're going to be working with these as well as my own brayer. Of course, I can't resist brayering something, you know me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of this yellow color and just put it onto my craft sheet. So I'm using my craft sheet as my palette. And then I'm just going to pick up the color with my brayer and put it down onto my cardstock. Now you can do a little or a lot. I chose to do just a little bit. You can see you didn't need very much of that watercolor ink at all. And look at the vibrancy of that. Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. So all I need to do before I move on to the next step is let this dry. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I've got a piece that is already dry. So I'm going to move this away and bring this piece in. And I'm also just going to do a quick cleanup of my craft sheet palette here. Now the next process I'm going to do is spattering. So I'm going to be spattering with the pink and then with the purple. So let me get my pink used pipette here, and I just rinse these out in the kitchen sink to clean them out, and then they can be used for whatever color you have. So I'm going to grab some pink here and just get a little bit in the pipette. You don't need to have the whole barrel filled. And then I'm just going to gently tap this. And then I've got a nice spatter on there. So I'm going to let that be, and then I'm going to come back and pick up some purple. Same process. And get my pipette with the purple. And again, just tapping this on here. Now, what you can also do at this point, you can either zap this with a heat gun to dry that. You can blot it, you could spritz it with some more water, or you can let it air dry, whichever process you want to do. And I just let mine air dry. and then just go ahead and clean up the rest of my craft sheet, and I can move on to the next part of the project. So I'm going to set this one aside, and I'm going to bring in the stamped and embossed heart. And I think you can see the heart pretty clearly, even though it's been stamped and embossed with clear on white paper. So now that I've got this heat embossed on here, it can be a resist. So what I'm going to do is get back into my yellow, and in this case I'm going to use the paintbrush and just dip this straight into the bottle and paint onto my cardstock. And you don't need very much. As you can see, it has a really immediate impact. Fantastic effect. And just look at that color. It is bright, it is bold, it is vivid, it's fantastic. And already that white from the embossing powder is showing through there. So now I just need to let this dry, and I can go on to the next part of this process. So again, I've got one that is already dry. You can see I even tested a little bit over here. And then I'm going to add some pink and some purple. Now, rather than working straight out of the jars, because I want the pink to be diluted, I'm going to pull out a little with the pipette, just a touch, put it onto my craft sheet, and then I'm going to use my water mister and just spray some of the water next to that little blob of watercolor paint. Pick up some of the water and some of the paint, and then just add this on here. I don't want anything to cover it completely. I just want to have a little bit of that pink on there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with purple, but I'm going to make it a very, very watery purple. So I really only want the tiniest bit of that super concentrated color and a lot of water. Bring back in my spritzer, and a lot of water on there. Pick up just a tiny bit of this and add some purple on there as well. I don't want it to get too muddy either. And then I'm just going to let my color dry. So again, I can either heat set that or I can let it air dry, whichever I prefer to go, just kind of depending on the time that I have. So let me bring back in my original card here. We can talk about the processes that I've done just to put it together. So I've matted my piece of watercolor background, matted this up top and bottom onto blue cardstock. I inked the edges of it with some aquamarine crafter's ink, and this is the Ann Butler Color Box Crafters. So top and bottom there. I've also stamped it and embossed it with the same color, this stamped sentiment here. Now the stamp set that I'm working with for both the heart and this quote is the PaperArtsy Eclectica ESN11 stamp set. So this big beautiful heart image here, and then the quote down here at the bottom. So those are just up on foam tape. I've got one layer of foam tape here, 2 layers of foam tape here, and then a little swatch of ribbon and buttons, one at each corner, and then it's mounted up onto the front of my card. So this is how to create a watercolor card quickly and easily using Spectrum Noir AquaTints. I'd like to thank Anne, Lisa, and Teresa at Bella Crafts Quarterly for inviting me to be a part of the summer 2015 issue. When you get a chance, I hope you can stop by BellaCraftsQuarterly.com and download the magazine. It's always free, and it's packed with tons of cool projects and interviews and all kinds of fun stuff. If you liked today's video, please subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I'll keep you updated with a new video every Wednesday. Thank you for joining me on Studio SN, and I'll see you again next time.